Well, my phone cut off again. It's been doing that a lot lately, just cutting off. But all those out there are illegals. And out there is illegals. The place is full of illegal aliens everywhere. You see, if this was 20 years ago, there would only be Americans here. The beach wouldn't be crowded. And this is what the people, like my daughter and my grandson came along this trip. See, look, more of them. Look, all those illegal aliens. But think about this, folks. This is for the people that aren't in this fight, that don't see it for the problem that it is. You people like traffic? Oh, I hate traffic. I hate driving down the road and sitting in traffic for hours. They did a story, KTLA, I think it was KTLA, which is the largest news station in Los Angeles, did a story last week about the lack of traffic on the 405 in LA. One of the busiest freeways, I think the busiest freeway in America. And said it was no longer congested. It was no longer backed up. There was no longer wall-to-wall, back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic any longer. How did that happen? Millions of illegals here with millions of tax dollars buying millions of cars. See? More of them. Okay, just got off the boat. So millions of illegals, millions of tax dollars equals millions of hours wasted in traffic. Let's talk about the hospital. I remember when I was a kid, there was no waiting lines at the hospital. I was born in the same hospital I visit today. There was no waiting in line. You might have to wait 30, 45 minutes. That's on a busy night. But now, anytime, day or night, you go in a hospital, illegal after illegal after illegal. Hey, let's talk about the DMV. How many times have you been to the DMV? Millions of illegal aliens backing up the DMV. Every day of the year that they're open, time after time, hour after hour after hour, waiting in lines of illegal aliens. Because for one, the people that work in there mostly don't speak English. Don't speak Spanish. So there's no communication to have. So, traffic, hospitals, DMV. What else? Okay, more of them out there. What else? Let's think about this. Everybody talks about healthcare. Everybody wants healthcare. Don't you think the American citizens could afford healthcare if there weren't millions of people here sucking it up, taking it where we're not allowed to use it? They're taking what we put in and using it for themselves. So all the people say, oh, well, we hate our government because they won't give us free nationalized health care. How can you when you have a welfare state? How can you? You can. If we stop giving, I think the last number I saw was like $450 billion a year the American taxpayer spends on illegal aliens. That's law enforcement, housing in prisons, social welfare, hospitals, the education system. They're not building schools for our children. They're building schools to house the illegal aliens. It's not for our children. Why? Because the American population has stopped producing children. White Americans aren't having kids anymore. Black Americans are about to quit having kids. So the only people breeding in our country are illegal aliens. Look, all those out there, all of them, illegal aliens. Everywhere you look, illegal aliens. Everywhere. So it's not us. The schools aren't for my children. In Mason School right now, it's 7 out of 10 per class are illegal aliens that cannot speak English. So what do? Instead of teaching my son reading, writing, and arithmetic, they're teaching these people how to speak English. And did you know there's been thousands of cases in America this year of adult illegals going to school and claiming that they're children? Think about that. Adults are in the school with your children, with your sons and daughters, claiming to be adolescents when they're adults so they can victimize our children. See? More. Look. All this. All of them. And I'm actually shocked. This is the most American citizens I've seen here since the last trip here. And that's because I can't remember when we came last time, but I think this is a busier time for the beach. But none of these people should be here. This is what people don't understand. I share videos about the predator catchers online, and 1 out of 4 of the pedos online are illegal aliens, because it's okay to do that in a third world country. Just think, that's one pedo that should not be here at all, abusing our children. We're all in great risk to these people, because in a lot of these countries, it's okay to have sex with children, especially the Islamic nations. It's okay. It's actually promoted in Islam to have sex with children. But look, we're running up on even more. See, Muslims from Africa. Muslims from Africa. See, look at all these Muslims from Africa. And then you got illegal aliens. See, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And they sit here and they jam their freaking music. Just blah, blah, blah. Just jam their music wide ass open. It's just ridiculous. See, look, more. It's outrageous that I've been called a racist for the last 25 years for pointing this out. 25 years I've been called a racist for pointing out the inevitable of exactly what we have in America today, where the illegal aliens run the show. They're here sucking. I told Tina a minute ago, Tina doesn't care. She keeps her head down, she works, keeps her mouth shut, don't want to bitch, just wants to work and make money. I said, and especially my daughter, she doesn't understand this. My daughter, she works in a restaurant. It's one of those gourmet places. Sells a lot of high dollar food. I mean, it's like a $20 plate just for a sandwich. See, even more out there. But she's talking about the money she makes. See, even more. And every one of these people have 2 or 3 multiple children that are all on Medicaid, that are all living on government welfare. Okay? Anybody that says that they can't get welfare, you're a liar. I'll prove you wrong. I can go right now to any social services clinic and they'll give all the aid they can. They'll give everything. And they'll give even more, because they'll give aid for the same child in one home 2 and 3 different times each. But think about this, and I told my daughter this and she doesn't understand. I said, honey, right now you're claiming to make good money. And I think I don't know. I told her she makes about 50. She said no, she makes about $75,000 to $80,000 a year. That's not really that good of money. But I said, listen, you could be afforded a living wage if we didn't have millions of illegals here depressing the wages. Now, it was the Republicans in the early 80s. But since then, it's been the illegal aliens depressing the wages. And it's been illegal aliens actually since the first, but the Republicans started with Ronald Reagan giving mass amnesty, and it's supposed to be like, I think, 1 million they give mass amnesties to, which was a mistake. But here we are. With wages depressed, they're always going to give the job to the cheaper worker. Oh, it's billionaires. Billionaires' fault. Billionaires are going to get rich no matter what. They're going to get rich no matter what. But why do we put up with it? Because we could make good money, and the American worker, the American taxpayer, could afford to buy nicer things, because we would all be making a living wage. Minimum wage in America right now would be anywhere from $25 to $30 an hour. That would be base, and that would be voluntarily by the employer. Why? Because we can't afford to. And this is what nobody understands. And I'll reiterate my point about the jobs nobody wants. The American taxpayer subsidizes the illegal aliens here. They subsidize them. So they can afford to go out and take a job making $8 an hour, as long as the taxpayer's subsidizing 90% of their income. When the taxpayer's paying for their house, paying for their power, paying for their food. If I didn't have a house payment, if I didn't have my food to pay for, they even get gas credits. Most of them I've been getting debit cards for the last 4 years. So if the taxpayers are funding 90% of the bills, then guess what? That minimum wage job has now become a top earner because of the subsidizing of their income from the taxpayer. Why can't anybody understand that? Why does nobody count that in? These same people want to bitch about, oh, I want free healthcare. You could afford free healthcare. We could all have free healthcare. if millions of people here illegally weren't stealing the free health care from us. There's no such thing as free health care. There are illegal aliens here taking our benefits that taxpayers fund. And all these people say, oh, they're a net good for the economy. No, they're not. When they come in and drain the system, and guess what they do with their paychecks? The subsidized money, the money's being subsidized by the taxpayer, pays the bills. But the excess money that they get in their paycheck that they don't have anywhere to give, guess where they send it? They send it back home to build them a castle. They send it back home to grandma and grandpa to build a house where they can go back anytime they want and live like kings. But nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to understand that's how it is. Nobody gets it. Why am I the only one that sees it the way it is? And I'll go back, and this is the talking point of the left and some from the right. Well, they're here, and the left, the Democrats in America, they want a slave class. They want that slave class because they want their dishes done. They want their floors vacuumed. They want their yards mowed by cheap, illegal alien labor. Those are the jobs. Who's going to pick the food? Who's going to pick the food we eat? Who's going to do that? Those are the jobs that people like me would love to do. But the American taxpayer can't afford to do that job because we don't get subsidized by the federal government. We don't get anybody funding us and keeping us up on our bills. But the illegal aliens do, and nobody gets that. Those are jobs nobody wants to pick our fruit. You realize the farm industry is the most automated industry there is? You realize that? I used to watch the channel Larson Farms on YouTube. It's him, his dad, his brother, and I think 2 other workers. And they farm thousands of acres. How do they do that? They do that by being a family and working, using automation. Automation gets them through. But nobody gets it. Nobody understands. Nobody sees it for what it is. I think I'm lost. I don't know where I'm at, where I turned around at. Okay, I passed him before. So these jobs that nobody wants is a myth. There are plenty of people who want the job. They're just people that can't afford to take it. White Americans can't afford to take those jobs because we don't get subsidized when we get federal government. And I'll tell you the way it is. If you're out there trying, like a single mom out there trying, working 40 hours a week, she's trying, and she goes to get a little bit of assistance, just a hand up. You know what social services tell her? Sorry, you just make $30 too much. You just make $30 too much a month, so we just can't help you. Because they don't put it as what they live on. They put on the total they make. Well, if your bills are $500 and total and you make $550, well, look, you've got your bills paid with $50 left over. That doesn't take up for, oh my God, I got a flat tire. Ooh, I got to change the oil in my car. Oh, something else come up. I got a doctor bill. They don't ever take that into account. But see, as long as the federal government is subsidizing all the, these people are poor, right? They're poor. They came from a third world nation to our, they're here, they're economic migrants. These people are supposedly poor, starving, and persecuted. But they come here and what they want to do is come to our beaches and live like kings? These are poor, persecuted people out here living in 5-star hotels. They're persecuted. Man, I'd like somebody to persecute me once. That sounds like a good idea. Persecute me. It's craziness. Nobody picks up on it. We need to have ICE on the beach loading every one of them up, hauling them off. I'm so over it. I want my country back. And if you think for a second that cartel members aren't mingling in these, see, these people, a lot of them that came in through the cartel, they owe a debt. So if they get tired of working and not paying off that debt, well, just grab a kid. Grab a kid. Grab a young mom. Grab a young woman. Grab them up. Call the cartel. You'll meet them at the corner. Boom. There goes $1 million bill for sex slavery. But nobody understands it. Nobody puts these pieces together. Why else is nobody saying Charlie Kirky's the worst? Well, there's jobs that nobody wants to do. There are millions of young men that would love to work on a farm running that big equipment. They'd love to do that. But they can't afford to do it for $10 an hour, which illegal aliens can. Why? Because they're subsidized by the government. Not only that are they subsidized, but they'll have 2 and 3 different families living in one home. Then their bills are not even 10% of their weekly income. So it's literally free flowing cash So they can come to the South Carolina Myrtle Beach, one of the most popular beaches in the United States, Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and live the dream. They all come in here with brand new shoes, brand new clothes, brand new cell phones, brand new cars, brand new trucks, sleeping in nice hotels, living the dream that American citizens can't afford to enjoy. But it's not politically correct to say those things. Why is it I've got to have the testicular fortitude to tell the truth? Why won't anybody else say it? My daughter doesn't understand it because she was brought up in school surrounded by illegal aliens. She doesn't understand the way America was before. We used to be proud of our country. People hate America now because it's no longer our nation. It's no longer our country. It doesn't belong to us anymore. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I mean, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 in that one family right there. Look. I mean, literally everywhere. 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 See? Look. Everywhere. Everywhere. It's literally, and there's more white people here than there were the last time I came to the beach. But it's literally 8 to 10 people out here are illegal aliens. 8 to 10. But 8 to 10. Oh, they're economic migrants. They're here because they're poor and they're starving. So they're poor. They're so poor and they're so starving. They come straight here and buy a home right off the bat. Okay, Tina, what's the average? 8 out of 10 here, illegal aliens. There's more white people here than there was last year, or the last time we came. There's more white people here than there was last time. But still, the majority here are. 50-50? It ain't 50-50. It's not 50-50 at all. I just walked the beach. It ain't 50-50, Tina. Yeah, from right here. Yeah, this is the majority of the white people that's on the beaches right here. But look, that whole pack out there, illegals. That whole pack's illegals. This whole pack's illegals. That illegal. Illegals. Illegals. No, they're just Spanish Americans. No, they're not. They're not Spanish Americans. You're either an American or you're not. What's this African American? 99% of the blacks in America have never been to Africa, never seen Africa. See, like this one kid, that little illegal alien screaming. Got his pants down with his pecker hanging out, screaming on the beach. You see, illegal aliens don't teach their children. They don't discipline their children. They don't say, hey, no, quit being an asshole. They don't do it. They just let them do what they want to do. Kid's literally walking around with his dick out. Screaming. And they laugh, and it's cute. See, look. See, he's drinking beer out of a bottle on the beach. Guess what? That's against the law. But lifeguards and the police won't say anything to them. They won't say a word to them. I hate this place. The things we do for love.